Hello and welcome to the first of two screencasts on the database I created for my assignment. As you can see here, when we open the database, we're brought into our main menu, and within that are three buttons relating to forms, queries and reports, and a fourth one that actually closes the database. If I click on the first one, forms, we're brought into the form menu, and we can see in here that I have 6 buttons relating to each of the 6 forms, and a 7th one that will return us to the main menu. If I click on the client form, you can see here that I've entered some data into the form already, and you can see here I have drop down menus that help us to minimize the errors that a user might form in the database. By having these and by clicking on these, it means that the user, as you can see, will not make mistakes in spellings or in what criteria are required within that field. If I go down here, I'm going to just pick the county, and the county is Westmeath that I'm going to pick, and now I'm going to enter a mobile number. So I'll just pop that in. And if I go to save record, it tells me here that the value isn't appropriate for the input mask that I have, because if I OK it and look again, I only have 6 numbers here, whereas I should have 7, because the mobile number has 7 numbers. So I'll just enter the last digit and I go to save record again. Now I have another problem, and this problem is it's telling me that there's a duplicate value in the index of primary key, which is the client ID here. And the problem is that I put in a code CL22, and I know that there's already a client with that ID CL22. So if I OK that, and just exit out of that and change it to 23 and click on save record again, this time the record will save. As you can see here at the bottom of the form, I've created buttons that allow me to perform the tasks that are required within the form, such as printing the form, closing form, and as you saw there, save. And we have here, if I click on this, it brings me to the first record, and if I click on this, it brings me to the last record. Then we have next record. Obviously the next record is a blank record, so if I click on the first record and click next record again, we can see the second record, previous. Click here, it will allow me to enter a new record, and at any stage, if I wish to, I can delete a record. If I click on close form, you'll see now that this form will close and bring me back to the form menu. If I want to, I can click on other forms in here, such as the adjustment form, and if I click in there, you can see it's a similar layout with the same buttons at the bottom. If I close this form again and I click on the main menu, it brings me back to main menu. If I click on the second button, queries, we can see in here that I have created a list of queries, and if I just make that a little bit more accessible, you can see here that I have queries relating to the different forms, and the forms of course are all based on the tables within the database. As we can see here, if I click on this one, Taylor with income of 20,000 or greater, if I click on that, you can see that it brings me into a query, and you can see that there are 4 Taylors which are on an income greater than that, and they are all full-time. If I close it, I can go back into the queries menu again, and I can look at other queries. We can see here that there's another query here in adjustment queries for a list by date completed, and if I click on this, it'll ask me to put in a start date. So I'm going to say for the month of December, so I'm going to put in the 1st of the 1st 2013. The 1st of the 12th, I beg your pardon, 2013, and OK that. And the end date then is the 31st of the 12th, 2013. And when I OK that, it brings me in and shows me all the adjustments that were completed in December. And you can see there the 2nd of December is the first one there. And if I close that, then we can have a look at other queries. There are queries down here called updating queries, and what they allow us to do is make changes to the table without having to go in and actually do it in the table. And these are set then that users that may not have permissions to do certain things can make certain changes, but will not mess up the tables within the database. It really is for data integrity. So if we look here, I have forward on here, tailor mobile, client mobile, designer mobile, and the client size. So I'll click on update client mobile number, and you can see here that it's giving me a warning telling me that I'm going to run an update query that will modify the data in the table. So I'm going to say yes to that because I want to do it. So I'm going to enter a number, so 083 123 4567. And if I OK that, it's going to ask me which client do I want to change. So I'm going to pick CL23, the client that I actually only created just a few moments ago. So if I OK on that, it tells me here I'm going to update one row, and I click on yes, and that's updated. And just so that you're not taking my word for it, if I click in here and click into client, we look at client 23, there we go, Jenny Jones. And if we go across, there she is, Jenny Jones. There we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it means that the data can be changed without a user who may not be too familiar with Access going in and trying to do it either within the form or within the table. Now I'll just close that again, and we're back. When we're in the queries then, we're going to actually go over and have a look at how that worked. So what I'm going to do is go down to the client update here, and just bear with me now, there we are. So it was amend the client mobile number, and if I right click on that and click in design view, it brings me in and shows me what was in the query. So if I just expand these a little, we can see that what I have here is update 2, and it says please enter phone number, and that's the prompt that we were given first, and we entered the phone number, and then we were asked please enter the client ID. So when we entered the ID, the phone number went into the ID that corresponded with that, and that's how we did our update. Now if I close that, we can see then that we're back into the queries menu again, and now we're going to close the queries menu. So we click on main menu, and that closes it and brings us back to the main menu. And what I'm going to do in our next screencast is show you the macros which I used to create these features and allowed us to navigate around the database, and also how to close the database. So that's it for our first screencast, and I look forward to you joining me for the second one. Thank you. Bye bye.